Hello and welcome back to another video. In this video I'm going to be showing you exactly my process on AI image creation and more importantly AI video creation, right? And specifically the use cases that I'm using it for in terms of Facebook ads and things like that, right? So I've made a little bit of a Notion document, just kind of detailing all of the tools that you will need over the duration of this kind of video, if that makes sense. All in all, it's actually not that bad, not too expensive, especially if you're going to be doing this as a service for clients, or if you are a freelancer or something like that, then it's going to be quite useful for you to get these tools anyway, right? Because it's going to allow you to market your clients' businesses more effectively if they do not have that creative volume that you need for testing in meta ads anyway, right? So let's get into it now. If I just minimize myself down here quickly. So the tools you'll need, ChatGPT, preferably you'll have the paid version. I think it's like £20 or something like that. Preferably the paid, simply because we need to make a project inside of ChatGPT. Another thing you'll need is Canva, right? This is for relatively the last few steps, which we'll get on in a minute, but Canva is always a good one to have regardless, right? And then editing software, so CapCut, Captions, any other editing software that you feel comfortable using. Not a preference, to be completely honest. You can use a free one, you can use a paid, it doesn't really matter, it just depends how well you know that software, right? And then for AI tools, we need Higgsfield. It's a bit of like an AI hub, if that makes sense. So it has lots of different AI agents, AI tools on there, and it's all collective in one subscription. So it's really quite nice. If you are not sure what AI tool is the best, it has loads on there, so you can always test around, see which one suits your use case the best, and then you can make that decision further down the line. But in Higgsfield, what I've found works the best for image creation is definitely Seedream. Seedream 4.5 works amazingly, right? And for video creation, it's Kling 2.6. Now I've also put down here Nano Banana Pro, and that is for image creation. Also works relatively well, right? I think some of these AIs have, like I say, different use cases, right? Seedream is, I found, is a lot higher quality in terms of human realism, right? That's what I've noticed anyway. Nano Banana Pro is really good for, let's say, a product showcase. If you're doing e-commerce static ads, perhaps, it's probably a little bit better than Seedream, right? But it's just something that you want to test over the long term and make up your own opinion on that, right? And then Sora 2, I love Sora. Sora 2 is where I started in AI video creation. It's really, really good. The only issue with it is that kind of AI haze. It has a bit of a haze on it where you can definitely tell it's AI, right? But, you know, as I say, different use cases, different AIs work best for different use cases, right? And that's a continuous theme that you'll see throughout this video, and you just have to make up that decision for yourself, right? So if we go on to the prompting steps one by one, so what you want to do is go into ChatGPT. Now, as I mentioned before, you preferably want the paid version, right? The £20 a month one or wherever it is. Go to ChatGPT, make a new project, and in that project, make a new chat, right? So what you want to do once you've done that is define what the project and chat will be for, AKA this project's chat will be for making AI image and video prompts for landscaping businesses. Or this project/chat is for making AI, UGC, image and video content for e-commerce businesses. So again, apply this to your specific needs and tailor your ChatGPT project/chat for your needs, right? Fairly self-explanatory. Then what you want to do is give your GBT experience, aka you're a film director with 30 plus years of experience in high quality movie making. You focus on filming and directing for landscaping businesses of the highest quality. You only ever work with 4K cameras and the newest equipment, right? It's also the reason why this little bit is here at the end, you only ever work with 4K cameras and the newest equipment, is because if you give ChatGPT like reference on what equipment to use, say if you are a videographer or you are a photographer and you do know a little bit more about cameras than, let's say, I would, right? You can actually input the specific camera that you want to use into your ChatGPT, and it will try its best to mirror that, right? And it's always a good idea to at least put 4K cameras or the newest equipment, because then ChatGPT knows, okay, what kind of style are we going for? What kind of cameras are we using to make this video, right? So it's always a good idea to put that as well. Then what you want to do is give ChatGPT the end goal, right? Your main goal with these prompts are to showcase the highest quality work and generate leads with high intent and budget for my landscaping clients, right? Again, you can adjust this wherever needed. These are not, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You can put these in any order, and ChatGPT relatively knows what you're trying to get, right? So you don't have to follow this step by step, but make sure everything that I've included in this video goes into your ChatGPT, right? So, and again, this is to tell ChatGPT what your actual goal is, right? Because ChatGPT loves to understand you, and it loves to know what you actually want out of its prompts and out of its outputs. So the more information you give it and the more kind of context you make it understand, the better your prompts will be in the back end, if that makes sense, right? So that quite nicely moves me on to ChatGPT loves structure and formats, right? So what you want to do is also give it human-like realism, 4K cameras for generation, always prompt like you're giving it to Seedream or Nano Banana. And the reason why I put this down is because ChatGPT will give the output prompts very differently depending on which AI you're using, right? So, for example, I have this other AI tool that makes presentations. It's called Gamma.ai, right? Bit of a sidetrack, but anyway, the prompt that I asked ChatGPT for that AI tool is very different than the ones for Seedream or for Nano Banana or for Sora 2, right? They all understand prompts slightly different, right? There is very slight differences, but these things do matter. So I always like to put the tools that I'm using in the prompt, in the actual original ChatGPT prompt, just because then it understands, okay, I'm optimizing for Seedream or I'm optimizing for Nano Banana, right? It just makes GPT understand it just a little bit more, right? And then next, what you want to define is the style and tone of the video or images you want. For example, cinematic showcases or projects done by the highest quality landscaping firms available, right? And always have luxury and professionalism at the forefront of prompts. Fairly self-explanatory, right? You want to give ChatGPT an understanding of the tone of your business, the style of videos that you want to create. Again, helps ChatGPT understand what you actually want out of the prompts. And last but not least, give ChatGPT any final rules you have, like brand guidelines, anything like that, right? So you really want to. ChatGPT doesn't really like to be handed the reins. It likes to be confined, and it likes to be told what to do, right? It likes rules and it likes regulation, right? As funny as that may sound, but the more kind of context and the more you put ChatGPT in a box, the less likely it is for your images and your videos to be wacky or not quite what you want, or not what you asked for, right? The more information you put into your original ChatGPT project/chat, the better it's going to be for you in the long term, right? Now, once you have made your ChatGPT, you'll now go to Higgsfield in order to start your AI video and image creation. Now, it's important to note, always make the image first, right? Making the image first in Seedream 4.5 or Nano Banana Pro is important because we can easily refine the AI images. It's very hard to refine the videos simply because it takes a lot more direction to change the videos than it does the images, right? And we have a lot more freedom when we use Canva. I'll explain that a little bit later, but we can use Canva to, again, refine the images much more easily than we would do the videos, right? So we can use our custom-made ChatGPT to make our image prompts. I've found that the more lengthy the original image prompts are, typically the better the images come out. It's the opposite for videos, which is quite surprising, right? So long prompt for the first initial image, and then a short prompt for the videos. Not sure why that works, but it does. So once your image is created and we have our kind of starting frame, you can move to Kling at 2.6. But let me actually go into ChatGPT and do this for us, right? Now, this is, I've been working on a couple projects essentially, but I'll tell you what, we'll start from scratch. Starting for a new project, can you make a... Right, so again, it's once you've kind of given this chat a bit of history, as you see here, I spent quite a while trying to refine it down. And as you see here, these images are really quite nice. Like, look at that detail. That's what I mean. It's actually astonishing what you can do with ChatGPT and a few other AI tools, right? Now, okay, see, as you can see here, the rule is following the rules as well. See Dream image prompt. Very nice. Okay, let's just copy that. Doesn't necessarily matter. Obviously, if you have some sort of idea in mind that you want to use for your kind of project, if you have a specific, product, or if you have a specific scene in mind, then it's always good to read your prompts. But because I'm not too fussed, I'm just trying to make some video ads about generalist landscaping work. It doesn't really matter too much about what I actually do, right? About what the actual prompt is, because over the time we refine the prompt and we actually get what we want in the end, if that makes sense. So it again depends on how you're trying to use this, right? But if you go on Higgsfield, this will be your kind of homepage. Let me just go to here. As you can see here, you can see loads of different examples. Shrek Gone Wrong, Monsters Island, right? Lots of different things you can fuck around with and mess around with. But for the purpose of this video, come down to Sea Dream 4.5, right? And I believe you do need the ultimate plan for this. Or maybe the pro plan, I'm not too sure, but I think you do need one of the more advanced plans out there to use this. But again, it's not the end of the world if you just have the pro plan. You can kind of get away with some of these other AI image creations. You just want to make sure that, Nano Banana Pro is pretty good. Sea Dream, I found works the best. But again, you can make some decisions on some of these other ones, right? I'm not saying you can't. But let's just see what this does. Leading into space. I can't remember if this was the... Yeah. So what I normally like to do is make 3, just because then we don't have to wait around for ages trying to find the best one and keep pressing generate. Right? If you just make 2, 3, 4, I mean, it normally works typically the best. I'll see you when these are generated, because it might take a couple minutes. Okay, we're back. Now, as you can see here, right, I personally like this middle one the best, but I do like that one. We can use multiple, don't get me wrong, for different scenes and stuff, but we typically, basically the way we want to do it is have a starting scene, and then what we can do is just ask ChatGPT, basically, right, what we'll do is we'll download this image, because this is my favorite so far. While that's downloading, we'll go over to the video. As you see, it's downloaded. And my laptop's about to die, hang on. Oh, I do apologize, my laptop was about to die. Now, once that image has downloaded onto your computer, what you want to do is essentially just come to ChatGPT and give it the photo that you just downloaded. I'm going to pause the video quickly, because essentially once your image is uploaded to ChatGPT, what you want to ask ChatGPT to do is using this image, make the video prompt for this scene. I can't spell for shit, by the way. For this scene, and then kind of describe what you want. So, for example, I would like a walkthrough of this doorway, something like that, right? I'd like a walkthrough of this, right? It doesn't have to be too mad. I've found that ChatGPT normally knows what to do regardless. And as well, it's also important to note that we will use this prompt as inspiration. We won't necessarily use it directly, right? Just because, again, I found for some reason, right, if you give a long prompt in here, it typically messes up the video generation, right? It's very strange, right? But I found a very short prompt actually works a little bit better, and then you just turn on enhance. And for some reason, it works a lot better than if you were to slap in, as you see here, right, a massive prompt. What we can do, you know what, we'll test it. We'll test it. And this is the thing that I want to make very clear, right? It's not an exact science, right? For something that works for me, might not work for you, right? So test, right? If a long prompt works best for you, use a long prompt. If a short prompt works best for you, use a short prompt, right? It's all about testing which kind of angle, which direction, and which prompts work best, right? Because like I say, not an exact science by any means, right? So while that is generating, I will pause the video so you don't have to sit here and wait 5 minutes, right? But I'll be back in a minute. Okay, so we have got our video back. Now, I haven't actually watched this, so we're going to be watching this together for the first time. Now, just on the first basis of it, I mean, we can do some upscaling later. It just seems a lot like AI, but let's just watch it regardless. That's pretty good. Yeah, it's kind of what I wanted. Okay, not bad, not bad. Okay, so this is kind of like our first scene, right? If you're making an ad, you typically want an ad to be anywhere from, 10 seconds to a minute long, right? I probably wouldn't recommend you making a minute long AI video because, again, probably going to be pretty noticeable that's AI, right? But for this, I would recommend, 20, 25 second video. If it's going to be 20 seconds, it's going to be 4 clips, right? And that's not too bad, right? If you put some transitions over it, it gets a little bit more difficult to know that it's AI, right? And again, depends on your target audience, right? Landscaping people are typically homeowners between the ages of 25 and 65 plus, right? So it's kind of like, it's going to be on that higher scale, and not being funny, older people don't really know that it's going to be AI, right? It's typically the younger audience that are going to be like, oh, it's AI, right? And again, it becomes a little bit more noticeable when you use UGC, but again, editing can help you out a hell of a lot when it comes to making UGC ads, right? You can kind of crop out the avatar and put a background video, and it kind of, in the haze of it all, you can't really tell there's AI, right? So it's kind of like, depends on your use case, depends on how long you want the video, etc., right? But that is a very good starting point. Now, we come back to ChatGPT. I'm going to just pause this quickly so I can upload the image. And essentially, now what we want to do is get a second image prompt using this image, right? So as you can understand, right, we're kind of continuously chaining backwards, right, if that makes sense. So our starting image, okay, this one, right, is our starting frame, right? We've just made the video. I'm happy with the video. Now we want to make the second starting image for the second video, right? But we always want to use the original as a reference point, or the previous image as a reference point, should I say. So we make the scene by scene, if that makes sense. So, for example, can you make the next scene in the image I'll put this a bit wrong. Can you make the next prompt using this as a reference? No idea how you spell that. Using this as a reference, I want the next scene in the video. Can you make the next image prompt? Very important you define what prompt you want, because ChatGPT tends to like to just go with the video regardless. Can you make the next image prompt using this as a reference? I want the next scene in the video, in the ad to be, what should we do, guys? Actually, we'll leave it to ChatGPT, because again, what I found, sometimes ChatGPT actually does better than I can, which is quite funny. But it will understand what you're trying to do in most cases, right? It will understand what you're trying to do, and then it will make the next scene, if that makes sense. So whether that's a new angle or a different shot or a different location, so on and so forth, it can kind of, yeah, okay. So as you see there, very nice. And what we do, we copy and paste it. Oh, fuck's sake. What we do is, just move me out of the way a little bit. Copy and paste this, copy this, go back to Higgsfield, go back to the image generator, Seadream 4.5, and just go in here and upload the image again. So again, you always want to use the image as a reference point. Otherwise, if I just pasted in this prompt, it probably would just design a new scene, a new like background, if that makes sense. And that's not what we want, right? We want to keep all of the scenes relatively similar. Of course, if you're doing, you know, different projects at the same time or whatever, right, you can just kind of make it unique to every single one. But at the end of the day, we want to be showcasing one project at a time. And yeah, let's generate. And again, I'll be back when it's done. Okay, so we're back, and I believe this is the one that we used, right? So as you can see here, very, very nice. And look at that. It's literally, it's got the same bushes, fucking everything. That is fucking amazing, right? It's fucking beautiful. So I personally think this one is the best one, but let me just double check for any disparities between the two. Again, you kind of want to check that it's relatively similar, because the last thing you want to do is make a video and half the time it's not even of the same place, or it's got a random tree in the middle of it or something like that, right? But I think we're going to go with this one. I think this one is the most accurate to scale. But let's go to the video. So if you just click on the video here, it'll take you straight through, and I think it will automatically go on Kling 2.6, but maybe this is just what I've selected previously. Again, feel free to do any of these, right? You can, you know, use Google VO, whatever you so wish, right? I've just found Kling 2.6 is just so clean. Like it's the most realistic that I've used to date, if that makes sense. So it's kind of like, why not keep using it, right? This time I'm going to use a 10-second duration. But again, let's not forget to go back to ChatGPT and ask it to give us a prompt for this one now. So as you can see here, just repeating the steps, right? So can you now make the video prompt for this image, please? Now, as you can tell, right, this is just constantly going back, revisiting the prompt, revisiting the image, and just continuously doing it, right, over and over and over, right? Like I said before, it's a continuous loop backwards, if that makes sense. So, you prompt, you get the image, you use the image as a new in ChatGPT for a new prompt, get the video, and then you just kind of keep going backwards and backwards and backwards and forwards, should I say. So, as the long prompt actually worked a little bit nicer last time, I'm going to use this again and just see what it comes up with. I always put the enhance on simply because it just works so much better for some reason. But again, test it. So if we generate this, and yeah, again, I'll be back when this is done, right? It normally takes like at least like a minute, 2 minutes. Not actually too bad. Like, don't get me wrong, you can do some things in the meantime. You can, I don't know, fill out some paperwork or something like that. But I won't bore you with that. Okay, so it's actually just made it, and I did just watch through it. And to be fair, the only thing I find with the 10-second clips is the longer that it goes on for, the more you can see this AI. If I go full screen here, right, you can kind of see what I mean. So as you can see, very nice with the sun coming through and that. But as we go on, you can kind of tell that it's a little bit of AI, right? Like here, not too bad. You can kind of get away with it, and then about here, right? So about halfway through. So we should have really made this only like 5 seconds, right? But regardless, still pretty good, right? Now, if you wanted to, you can just keep going with this process, right? I've shown you exactly what to kind of do. A few more bonus things, right? And then some things I'll just show you just quickly. If you're finding that the prompts, ChatGPT is not really understanding what you mean, right? Or it's just messing up, or it's erroring, or it's just deforming some things, right? What you can do is come into Canva and paste in your image, and say I wanted to focus on these wooden slats here, right? Because this is what I was doing yesterday. I wanted to have a slow pan across these wooden slats as the sun was kind of shining through. But every time I asked ChatGPT to do that, it would either give me just random pieces of wood in this shot, no idea why, or it would like make them really weird angles and deformed and stuff. So I thought, right, what can I do to kind of mitigate this, right? So literally get your photo into Canva, get a arrow and just annotate it. Again, if you're doing this for ecom, right, and this is something that I saw, I actually paid for a course to learn this a bit more in depth, right? So one thing that he done for e-commerce, and the guy in the video, was that he had a kind of storyboard of like headphones and a man and the product and the background and the aesthetic, right? And he labeled all of these different things, and then he pasted this into the video prompt, into Higgsfield, right? In here as the original, we're using this as the kind of starting frame, right? He used that as the starting frame, and it turned out beautifully. It understood all of what he meant, right? Because obviously he first pasted it into ChatGPT, right? As you see, I'll do it here quickly. It's really, really smart, to be fair. Basically, he just asked ChatGPT to make a prompt using all of these labels, right? And then ChatGPT could understand, okay, these are the wooden slats, or these are the headphones, this is the man, this is the character that I want in the ad, this is the background, this is the product, right? It can understand all of these things just by annotating with it by some arrows, right? It's really fucking good. So just keep that in mind. Because it is more than likely that you'll get to a certain stage in this process and it will just start not working, or it'll throw out some really weird, silly things, right? It just won't look quite nice, right? And that's fair enough. It's going to happen, right? It's AI, right? It's really good at what it does, but it gets stuck sometimes, right? So you just need to give it a bit of direction, and that's a great way of getting AI to understand exactly what you want. Literally just annotate it. I shit you not, right? Really, really good way of doing it. Highly recommend this method, especially if you're doing e-commerce and you have multiple different things that you want included into the video, multiple different products, multiple different models, so on and so forth. You can have all of these things available. Now, let's go back to the Notion doc. As you see here, it's not an exact science. I always like to give clean the AI image, so on and so forth. I just went through all of this, right? Again, a little bit of a bonus info. Unless absolutely needed, turn off audio. It just saves money, right? Of course, if you need audio for sound effects or background noise or anything like that, keep it on. But for the majority of the use cases I will be using it for, and I assume the most of you out there will as well, you're going to be putting either a voiceover over the top of it, or audio, music, sound effects anyway on your editing software. So it's not really needed unless you have, like I say, a specific use case for that, right? It literally halves the credits that you're using. So again, it's kind of worth it in my opinion. Now, once you're done, refine and polish, right? As you can see in Higgsfield, right? If you go to where is it? Edit, and you press upscale, select the video that you want or the image that you want. It just makes it look again a little bit more cleaner. But that is it for today, right? I hope you have enjoyed. Hope that was a bit of value for you. If you do have any questions at all, please do let me know. Feel free to leave a comment or DM me wherever you see this, right? I'm more than happy to hop on a call and help you out with this. But yeah, I will be making a lot more videos on this because I found this has become my little bit of a pet project, if that makes sense. So feel free to give me some suggestions on videos to make or clips or images to make. And like I say, any questions, leave them in the comments. Any specific things, feel free to just hop on a call with me and we can sort them out for you. But like I say, hope you enjoyed, and I'll be here for the long run, so stick around.